learn the number one thing that people understand as adults is wrong, and that is you're supposed to stop playing. No, you're supposed to play all the time. For your entire life, until you're 156, you're supposed to be playing. That means outside, running, jumping, moving as much as you possibly can. It takes a village to raise a child. So my entire family, my brothers, my sisters, my mom, her sisters, my ex-wife, right? Everyone is involved to some degree of being part of my kids' lives. And everyone is always connected. There's always someone she can turn to and talk to. You have to find peace. You have to be able to laugh. And if you turn on anger to build strength, it's like taking all your fuel and lighting it all at once. War sucks. War is horrible. The worst thing anyone ever created. It's fought by children. Just keep that in mind. I tell that to people, and they don't get it. You remember Somalia from that movie Black Hawk Down? And they'll say, they'll ask me if I ever saw Black Hawk Down. I'm like, yeah, I saw it. And they say, when you think of it, I'm like, what do I think of what? The movie. I'm like, I didn't see the movie. I was there for Black Hawk Down. They know when they see someone that's a victim. That person that's not paying attention, that's looking at their phone, that has their shoulders hunched. When you learn self-defense and you learn how to be situational aware, you become less of a victim choice. So just think about that for a second. Just because you learn, not because you can do or you have to do, just because you took the time to learn self-defense, you are less likely to be chosen as a victim.
Welcome to the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast.
Welcome, my friends, to the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast, your resource for all things self-optimization. I am your host, Drew Grissel of Primal Wellness Coaching. If you like our stuff, quick reminder, please hit that subscribe button, share what we have with others. The only way we get the word out there is if you tell folks about us, and then we can help everyone to make their lives better. Show notes for today's episode can be found at the superhumanblueprintpodcast.com. Today, I am excited to bring you AJ Jolivette. AJ is an entrepreneur, a venture capitalist, a United States Marine Corps combat war veteran, a lifelong martial artist, second-degree Krav Maga black belt and instructor, including the PTK form of Kali. But wait, there's more. AJ is also a certified private security protector, IT cybersecurity service provider, and he has 3 companies: Soho Network Services, CDO, Gear, and JBI. Each completely different from each other. Yeah. And also, I'll comment, not part of his professional profile, and these are my additions to his bio, but he is also an artist, he's self-taught, multilingual, and he's also a geek.
Yes, that's true.
yeah. These are things that I know.
You're giving out the information that people don't typically know. Now,
yeah.
No one. Well, you also speak Japanese too, but people don't see that coming.
Choto dake.
But
AJ is the most badass multilingual geek that you will ever meet. So, AJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. That was a glowing introduction. I don't know if I can keep up with that, but I'll do my best.
Well, you are one of the most interesting people I know, so I think it should be fine. You'll be okay, because there's all those things, right? I mean, self-defense, you're a combat veteran, but also, cybersecurity, right? So you're in addition to being one of the most badass dudes I know, you're also one of the smartest guys I know, and it's kind of annoying that you're so good at so many things that have nothing to do with each other. But I'll try not to resent you for it.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's just it's fun. It's not fun sitting still. I've never been a guy that just wants to sit in one spot. It drives me nuts. I gotta go do something.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I always like the idea of sitting still, but it never really lasts for very long.
Yeah. It's not the thing.
Yeah.
If I'm not, and also doing only one thing at a time is tough too. That one's important to do a good amount of the time. But I mean, I'm literally, like last night, I was playing VR, which is a game in VR called Asgard's Wrath 2. I love it.
Okay.
But at the same time, I've got Stargate Atlantis and playing on the TV.
Yeah, you're definitely a geek. One thing that I didn't mention as part of your bio, but also worth mentioning just due to the nature of this podcast, which is just about kind of self-optimization, which includes caring for yourself and caring for others. You're also a father, so you have
All
3 daughters. Is it
I have three
3 daughters?
adult daughters, actually. I'm trying to get one of them to come help me let the dog out, but she's not moving.
Is she an adult
Um,
now? Is she?
she's 18. That
No
counts.
way. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Okay.
youngest is 18, and then 26, and then 35.
Yep.
Yeah. I've got grown kids,
Yeah. How's that
grown
feel?
adult children. You know, I thought what it was going to do is it's going to, like, ooh, I'm free to go do all these different things. The kids are adults. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. They just, now the problems just have more dollar signs behind them. Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah. Sorry. You got it coming. So I'm preparing you. I
Oh
don't want you
man.
to think that it's gonna go down like this. It's a steep corner.
You're killing it for me, AJ. I was kind of excited. My youngest is only, not even a year and a half, but I'm excited for him to move out so I can, go do other things. But
Yeah, that's not happening to you.
oh
Trying
well.
to get them to move out. My one of my daughters stayed with her mom until she was in her 30s. My
Yeah.
oldest. Well, almost to her 30s. Um, she's got her 2 degrees, and now she lives in San Francisco, and it's just a change of time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't get these things to understand my episode. We'll give it a shot. Anyway.
Yeah, I've almost given up on earbuds because every time I try to talk or do anything, they just pop out. But
Yeah. Oh,
so just quick backstory. So AJ and I met through Krav Maga. So we used to train at the same studio, one that no longer exists in the incarnation that it once was, where we met.
yeah.
But
But it was a good journey.
it was an amazing journey, and AJ and I both showed up for our green belt test, and neither of us showed up with a training partner. And so we were introduced on that day as training partners for the day. This was my first Krav Maga test in that federation, and testing in that
test was
federation.
brutal.
Yeah, testing in that federation and in through evolution, where each of us teaches now, is very very difficult. I'm talking green belt would be level goes white, yellow, orange, green, so level 4. And this is a
the
test.
First real test.
Yeah, this is the intro to what would be, I guess, intermediate Krav Maga.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an hours long test. I mean, you're getting in there at 8 and you're not leaving until after lunchtime.
Yeah, our test went to 2:30.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of thing where usually you want to show up with someone that is going to help carry you through. And I didn't know what I was getting into. And I think you were doing a lot of privates at that time, right?
That's right, because I was in Iraq, and then I came back, and so then I started training hard, and Bo put me in the testing cycle again.
Yeah.
And so he put me with said, "You gonna test for your green?" I'm like, "Okay, let's go." And I had no idea. It was brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal. I was much bigger then too. And it was brutal. I appreciate each other. We had good support, but my life changed after blue belt. Green belt was like the warning, but blue belt was like, okay, I got to change who I am in order to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. But I wasn't sure what I was getting into with AJ because we get in there, we meet each other, we're introduced. Okay, you guys are going to test together. We're like, all right, cool. We're just getting started, and then all of a sudden, someone shows up, hands AJ something, and he runs into the bathroom real quick and comes back out, and I'm like, what was that? You just took off. He's like, oh, I forgot my cup. I'm like, oh no, like who did I get partnered with? What kind of Krav Maga guy shows up on test day without his cup?
Cup. Yep.
But
My kid brought it to me.
yeah,
I think my middle daughter.
okay. Um, but it ended up being well, quite the experience, but amazing. I mean, you are the test partner. You are the quintessential test partner because you one are really good at Krav Maga. So, just by nature of being good, you make us look good. And two, you you motivate me. So you've got the verbal cues, right? Okay, keep going. You're doing great work. You're looking good. A little bit more, 10 more seconds, whatever. You've got the verbal command to keep your partner going. And three, and this is, okay, the secret's out of the bag. You've got great situational awareness. So you see when the instructors are looking our way. So you're like, all right, right now you need to bring it. And then, the
We
instructor
did.
turns around, you're like, all right, ease back a little bit.
You know who warned me about that?
Huh.
Gary,
Okay.
Mr. Gary. He said, "Listen, dude, you're gonna." But he gave me like, okay, I got it.
Yep.
The problem with the great thing with training with you is trying to keep up with you is hard, right? Because you don't get tired.
Oh.
You get tired. So that need to keep up with you is what actually made me change who I am. Because if I'd have tested like the other guys were testing, they were dragging, right? It wouldn't have been as hard. But trying to keep up with you, man, it was tough. So that's the good news. You helped me become more fit. I
Okay.
had to. I had no choice because it
Well,
just wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to do not as good or go backwards from the green belt test, right? That was such a huge leap from
right.
what I had been doing before. I'm like, okay, well, I can only go forward.
Yep.
Marine in me. I'm like, okay, well, that way.
Well, me not getting tired is a total charade, but I'm glad that people are buying it. In my head, I'm like, I'm ready to quit pretty quickly, but
It
it's
doesn't
just
look
that
that way,
mental
dude. I
push.
experienced it. It was
Well, that was an
yeah.
important one for me because it was my first test there, right? So I started Krav Maga at a different school over in Australia, and I did my first couple levels there. And testing there is more just like you get a bit of a workout, you demonstrate the techniques, and that's kind of it. So like my first test there was 2 hours, right? And then
Oh.
it gets a little bit longer after
Mhm, mhm.
that. So they want to see that you know the technique and you know it well and you can do it a whole bunch of times and do it right. But they don't like mentally and emotionally destroy you in the process.
Especially the emotionally
Yeah.
in on our tests. Our tests are a drain on you. They it's almost like being in a Marine Corps boot camp. They just tear you to pieces.
Yeah.
And then they have your our green belt test. I mean, our green belt test. That's when the fighting really, really ramps up.
Mhm.
Before the tester, like you said, they're really focused on technique.
Yep.
But at the green and above, it is about you better be able to do this stuff under pressure, over and over again when you're exhausted,
Yep.
and then do it again. And they were not joking around, man. We had to do so much fighting.
It's
Um, and don't get me wrong, not the type of fighting that I did when I was a kid. That type of fighting was unstructured, it was unskilled, it was just a couple seconds. No, we have to have structured combat where you
yep.
get up and do it again. And you're fighting another person in. That person comes out, you stay in.
Yep.
Another person's coming in. That's not the same thing.
And you don't get to be like, "Oh, I just took a really solid one in the face. I'm gonna sit this
No,
next one out." No, you don't get to do that.
no, you don't get to do that. You get to stay in anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Freaking, oh my goodness, yeah. That's that, and I don't think people are I don't think people are ready for what that's like, but I'm telling you that you want that in your system. You want it in your life. You want to be able to just be able to capable of doing that, surviving that type of thing. The when it comes to like self defense or combat, usually the person who gets tired first loses. I just taught this in my class yesterday
Okay.
because you can tire your own self out. Like,
Yep.
and in the next 10 seconds, you're exhausted. When you can learn how to stay calm in the chaos, it's less chaotic.
That was, one thing I brought with me from my old days of Muay Thai, back when I lived in Oakland. and I started sparring. You train for a while, and then eventually they let you spar. And the coach that would stay for the advanced sparring class was this little dude from Thailand, and he didn't have a lot of English. He just had enough to like kind of tell you what to do.
Hmm.
And he would just kind of hang out. We had a boxing ring there, and he would hang out, and we'd get in there and we'd spar. And he always like had this glove in his hand, this boxing glove. And like, I don't know, like it felt like every round, but maybe it wasn't quite that often. But he'd come over the ropes, he'd run over to me in the middle of sparring and whack me with the glove and go, "Relax, you relax." Because I'd be all tense up, right? And when you stay tense, you tire yourself out so
Tire
fast.
yourself out so fast, so fast. You
Yeah.
want to know what helped me with that? Following Alex.
Okay.
So when so I fought
He's
Alex.
a
And people
spry
don't know who
young
Alex
fellow.
is. Alex is 5'7",
Yeah.
135 pounds, whipping my big ass. Sorry, whipping my big behind. And so I wanted to get some of that skill. So he
Yep.
does gymnastics and parkour. So I started following him around to all the parkour gyms.
Yep.
Dude, that changed my life. Being able to vault over crap and backflip and run up a wall and flip backwards. That type of movement and confidence in your ability to move and that type of agility changed my entire game.
And it's amazing that you do that as well. I mean, amongst everything you do, you also do parkour and, gymnastics to a degree, but, like, what are you, like, 6 foot?
6'1", yeah.
Yeah, 6'1". Um, you know, I don't know what your average weight is, but maybe a couple 100 pounds. Um,
230 right now.
okay, so 6'1", 230-pound dude doing backflips. I mean, just alright, only AJ.
That's the good stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like would if you wanna because I've been working really, really far. So I've been on the road for 50 miles a trip every day. And I've been doing that for a year and a half for this contract that I have. And goodness gracious, I train. I train there. I train here. I train in the morning. Train not enough. So now I want to really push myself to 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 really lean out for a competition, a jujitsu competition I want to do this
Mm,
year. And the issue is, well, I want to be at this weight before. I want to be at this size when I go do this. No, go do it now. Let that bring you down, right?
mhm.
So go do the exercise that you think you're not ready to do, and let
Yep.
that help get you. And that's something I preach. So then I have to
Yeah, I
push
was gonna
myself to.
say, is your self-talk working on that? Because that's what we tell people all the time. We're like, "Hey, come try Krav Maga class." "Oh, I need to get in shape first." "No, come do Krav Maga and you will get in shape."
You will get in shape. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, it absolutely works, dude. My energy's way up, and my motivation's super high. I was just at the parkour gym this week on Thursday night, bouncing and flipping and jumping, and yeah, I got tired faster than I usually do, but I sit down, no problem.
Yep.
It's like no one's going to tell me I can't sit down, and then I get up and do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like when I was doing it a year and a half ago, I can go for 2 hours straight. Well, now I can go for 30 minutes. That's okay. I'm going to go for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you're going, I mean, that's the main thing, right? You show up.
The main thing, just show up.
Yep.
I know it's hard, right? People self motivation or motivating yourself is not the easiest thing to do. But you're only in competition with yourself,
Yep.
right? That's like what we said earlier, right? When I took the green belt test with you, and I'm like, okay, well, I did this well. It was this hard. I was at this level of energy. I'm not going to go less, right? I got to be better than I was last time when I take the next test. So I started, exercising. I went from exercising multiple times a week to exercising multiple times a day, right?
There
A
you go.
paradigm shift.
Yep.
Um, and why is that necessary? Well, there's different rules of thought out there on how you exercise. But if you have 15 minutes, you exercise for 15 minutes. And then later on that day, you got another 15 minutes, and exercise for another 15 minutes. So you exercise for 15 minutes 3 times a day, you actually got a 45-minute workout in. It was great.
Yep.
I,
That's actually about what I do right now. I usually do about 20 minutes in the morning, 25
mhm.
maybe, and then I'll grab like a quick 10, 15 minutes in the afternoon, and then I do another 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the end of the day.
You
So
see
I
that?
just I just do a few short ones, and it it gets your your calorie burn going. And if you do it right, if you're strategic about how you spend that 10 to 20, 25 minutes, you can have a calorie burn that lasts for 2, 3 hours. And if you're doing that several times a day, you didn't kill yourself with that hour and a half workout, but you get a calorie burn that you almost, tripling the benefits of because you're doing it multiple times. This episode is brought to you by the Hack Your Sleep program. Are you tired of feeling drained, struggling to stay focused throughout the day? Is low energy impacting your work and your relationships? So many of our clients at Primal Wellness Coaching used to be there too, until we introduced them to the simple steps in the Hack Your Sleep program. And guess what? As a Superhuman Blueprint podcast listener, we are going to give you access to this program absolutely free. This program isn't just about getting more sleep, it's about getting better sleep. Imagine falling asleep quickly and having nights filled with deep, restorative sleep. Say goodbye to those restless nights and wake up refreshed every day. These proven techniques will help you relax, clear your mind, and drift off into that peaceful embrace of sleep faster and keep you there longer. Even if you don't have time to add hours to your sleep schedule, you don't have to sleep more just to sleep better. But don't take my word for it. Join the Hack Your Sleep program and become part of the community of well-rested, energized individuals. Go to hackyoursleep.net and use code SUPERHUMAN to get this sleep improvement program completely free. That's hackyoursleep.net, code SUPERHUMAN to start sleeping better tonight.
Multiple times. So there's lots of research on those small workouts multiple times a day being so good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I like to compare it to being an adult versus being a child. First off, one of the number one things that people understand as adults is wrong, and that is you're supposed to stop playing. No, you're supposed to play all the time. For your entire life until you're 156, you're supposed to be playing. That means outside, running, jumping, moving as much as you possibly can. So when you're an adult, right, you say, well, I'm going to go work out. You go work out for an hour. But when you were a kid, you played, you ate, you played, you ate, you played, you took a nap, you played. And that type of energy flow is better.
Yeah.
In some ways. And that's the type of way you're doing it right now. It's the type of way I have to do it right now. Now, granted, I admit I'm a bit obsessive when it comes to training.
You are.
I will, when I have the time or when I'm working from home in Orange County, I really will spend my days going from one gym to the other. I'll work out at my jiu-jitsu gym. I'll get up. I'll go to the Krav Maga gym. I'll take a shower. I'll go to the Firestorm and I'll train that. Then I'll come home and I'll stretch and do a little bit. I literally will go from, I don't expect anyone else to do that. I'm odd. That's okay. Right. But the exercise where if you tell yourself, and this is just the truth, that you don't have 15 minutes in a day to do some type of exercise, you are telling a really big lie to yourself.
Yep.
Because even if it was true that you were busy from the moment you woke up to the moment you went to sleep, then wake up 15 minutes earlier.
Yeah. I was giving my brother-in-law a hard time the other day. So this guy doesn't exercise. He's very slender. I think he could probably get ripped pretty easily if he actually like lifted heavy things. But I got him to come over and work out with me on last weekend on Saturday. And after the workout, I was like, hey, go home. He's got a pool in his backyard. It's not heated. So, this time of year, it's about 60 degrees, maybe 58.
That's good for a cold plunge.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't sound freezing, but you go get in 58-degree water and it's pretty damn cold. So I was like, go get in your pool for 2 minutes. That's your post-workout recovery. I'm not worried about him like building a ton of muscle. I want him to not be sore because this is the first time we've ever worked out together. So he did. I'm like, cool. The next morning I messaged him. I'm like, hey, get back in that pool today just for 2 minutes so that you don't have the delayed onset muscle soreness. This is day one post exercise. Usually day 1, day 2 is when it kicks in. And he's like, no, I don't have time. I got a bunch of stuff to do. I'm like, dude, it's 2 minutes. Like, you can make 2 minutes. He's like, no, I got a busy schedule. I'm like, no, you can do 2 minutes, man. He's like, well, then I gotta dry off after. I'm like, okay, 3 minutes. He didn't go in.
Oh, so that means he was pretty sore.
Yeah, that's just one of those things, right? It's easy to convince yourself not to do something that you don't want to do. That's actually something that I'm on kind of hot and heavy these days, because I don't want to do most of the things that I do, but I do them because I want to live a long, healthy life. And I'm in my 40s and have 2 little kids, and I don't want to be decrepit when they're my age.
Yeah, dude. We can be active and fully functional into deep years in our age. It doesn't. What matters is the quality of life. So if you can be in your 70s, even in your 80s, and you can move and walk and go places, then you've got a really full life. But if you're in your 50s and you have to have a walker, and that's all because of health choices, uh, you start changing that now.
Yep.
It's going to be a little late later on, right? I often don't tell people how old I am because they're like, yeah, no. But yeah, I'm 51.
Yeah, like I said, you look like you're in your 30s, but all right. Sure, you're 51.
I'm every bit of 51. And this is what I do. And yeah, sure, I do waves, right? Because if I get busy, then I'm busy. Okay. I work out less, but I still work out. In other words, I'm not, when I say less, I'm not working out for 5, 4, 3 hours.
Right.
I'm working out for a total of an hour, right?
Yep.
And sometimes I got in 30 minutes. Okay, well then I got in 30 minutes plus some
Better than
stretching.
zero.
Better than zero. And I do the same thing. If I practice what I preach, if I say I don't have 15 minutes, that's BS. I definitely have 15 minutes.
Yeah. I recently picked up a cold plunge.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I
So,
looked at the one that you have because I was
yeah.
looking for one just the same shape.
Yep, that's
That's a bit pricey.
yeah. That was a business expense for me, but yeah, it's I also picked it up for that shape. I didn't want the tub that you lay down in. One, it's just
Mhm.
it's a much bigger footprint that it takes up, and two, that just seems awkward laying down in the cold water like that.
It
You ought to
is.
come over.
I've
You ought to
done
come
it.
over here and get in. I was just in it about an hour and a half ago, and I'm just barely starting to be able to feel my toes right now. Uh,
Yeah, that's not a good selling point.
no,
That's not
the
convincing me to get in.
the self talk every time I get in, I'm like, I make the decision. Like, all right, I'm gonna go in the cold plunge, and usually it takes a while between making that decision and actually getting out here to my garage, where it is, and then I'll stand in front of it for a while and just be like, all right, take the
That's
lid
fine.
off, Drew. Okay, take the lid off. All right, check the temperature, make sure it's good. All right, okay, I'll check the temperature. All right, go in, Drew. Oh, wait, I gotta set my timer. All right, timer's ready to go. Okay, hit start on the timer, Drew. Come on. Once I hit
Yeah,
start, then I gotta go because it gives me a 5-second countdown, and then the timer starts.
what
But
is the timer
yeah,
on that thing? All right,
well,
so
no, I
I'll
just I use my phone. I got a timer on my phone, so
okay, okay, good enough.
I can
I
see it.
will
But
tell you
yeah, I got
that
I got
I've
myself
done
up
it
to
like you.
yeah. Have you been in a proper cold plunge in like 30 something degree water?
48,
Okay, 48 is still really cold.
48, and the way I did it was because it's the lay down one
Uh huh.
called the plunge.
Okay. Yep.
So I got in it, then I got out, I got in the pool, then I got out of the pool and I got in the jacuzzi, and I did that cycle 3 times.
Oh, good for you. But
And
you finished the jacuzzi. You cheated yourself.
well, I finished it out of the cold.
Oh, you did. Okay.
So I was told by my personal trainer Branislav to finish cold.
Yep. Finish cold.
I'm
That's
like,
right.
fine, okay, fine. So the
Then you
last
get the
thing that
metabolic benefits of your body having to heat itself up.
I didn't know that was why, but okay,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of
You get an hours long metabolic benefit from cold if you allow yourself to self regulate your temperature rather than using something external like a heater or a jacuzzi or a sauna or whatever.
this is news to me. Okay,
Makes
all
sense
right,
though, right?
of course it does. That makes sense, and I can do it. I can do it. It sucks. I'm from New Orleans, and people in New Orleans are like this. If it gets a little cold, we have on 5 layers,
Yeah. My
and
wife
no
will fit
one
in there.
No one's gonna question you because they got
Yeah.
on 5 layers too. We don't like being cold in New Orleans. It gets cold. It drops below freezing during the winter. We hate it. So being cold is not my favorite thing. But
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I'm not gonna tell you I get into the cold plunge every day. I've done that maybe 4 times my entire life,
Yeah.
and I've only learned about it over the past 2 years. So 4 times over the past 2 years. The last 2 times, 3 times was actually within the past 12 months.
Well, hey man,
And,
my cold plunge is your cold plunge. Come on over
and
whenever you
man,
want to use
I'll
it.
come over and get in that thing, but you're gonna have to like have some boxing gloves, and every time I try to get out, just punch me in the head. I can get back in.
I was gonna say I'll sit on your shoulders, but you're strong. You'll just lift me up out of there.
I'll just I might be able to get out with both of us, dude, if it's cold enough. I get that super, oh my god, I gotta get it out.
You know what? You
Yeah,
won't
we
even
both
feel me
going for a
punching
trip.
you in the head though once you get cold enough. Like when I get out of there, the first thing I do is I work out when I get out of there because I can't feel any of my muscles, so it takes me a lot longer to fatigue.
Do you really have it like almost 30 degrees?
It's 37. That's as low as it goes.
Dude, that's
So it's
almost
it's always
freezing,
between
dude. What
37 and
the
39.
hell?
Yeah.
That's insane.
So
That's like
I got myself up to 3 minutes and 35 seconds. So my goal was 3 minutes, and I started out at, I think, a minute and a half was all I could do, but I've only had it for, like, 2 weeks, but now I'm up to 3:35. I'm like, "Cool, maybe my goal should be 5 minutes."
okay, yeah, let's just keep setting that higher, and maybe you can take
Yeah.
a nap,
My
go to sleep in the cold.
I do breath work while I'm in there. I do box breathing, and that helps a lot.
Okay. All right, that takes your mind off of it for sure. Because
Yep.
box breathing, which I do when I meditate, is pretty cool. I use different meditation methods. I use the VR program called Trip, which I love.
What is
And
that?
it takes you on. So it's actually a subscription based service on one of the VR headsets. I use the Quest 2 and 3. And you kind of set what you want to do, calm, or it does a check on where you are, and then it takes you to these different places. So maybe like the other day, I was sitting inside a VR place. I was sitting in a forest with lots of trees. Behind that, the mountains were really close, and above that, instead of there being stars in the sky, there were galaxies in the sky. And
Cool.
so that was the meditate. Yeah, and then there's this calm music playing, and you're sitting there, and then for maybe 3 minutes, and then you levitate up into the sky, and
No
you go
way.
to another. Yeah, levitate up into the sky. They take you to another place, usually someplace higher than that was. So now maybe I'm sitting on top of the mountain, and the
Yeah.
third place they take me, I'm literally just sitting in space, and there's galaxies and these clouds. And planets, and I'm just sitting there meditating with the music, and then it's over.
I wonder if they can build that into one of those tanks that you lay down in where sensory deprivation tanks where it feels like you're just kind of floating in nothing.
Have you ever done it?
No, I never have. I've heard of it. It sounds pretty interesting.
I've done it. Float
Have
therapy.
you?
Oh yeah, I love float therapy.
Okay.
It's one of the most amazing things. The problem at first was being able to breathe that hot air because the water temperature is 98 degrees. So essentially the
Okay.
temperature of you.
Right.
Um, so but the air is hot too. And at
Okay.
first I didn't like breathing in the hot air. I really
Yeah.
didn't like it. But the water is salt, so it doesn't matter how heavy you are, you're gonna
Yep.
float.
Right.
And there's a little pillow on your head, and you're just floating in this water. There's no light, there's no sound, and you're just there. And it's for an hour,
Wow, a whole hour.
an hour.
Huh.
You don't get cold, you don't get hot. It's just your temperature,
Yeah.
and you can hear and see nothing. And you're there, and your brain does amazing things to you.
Really?
1 hour of nothing to stimulate your brain's gonna do it itself, and you will find yourself in some wild places,
Huh.
thinking about some pretty interesting things.
Yeah.
I stopped doing it after, pandemic.
Okay.
Not that I have a reason for that other than that they were closed,
Right.
and they're open again, I just haven't made it back.
Hey, bring me over there sometime. Let's go.
Yeah, dude, just the one right there in Newport School Therapy. It's right off of, Harvard Boulevard, and I don't know the side street, but I can take you there. We'll go.
Yeah.
You won't regret it. I think if you can sit in a cold plunge, you won't have any problem sitting in that place for an hour.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm
No, you
very
would enjoy
interested.
it. Yeah, no, you enjoy it. It's good. But it's a kind of like anything else. I tell people how important it is to calm your brain, to meditate, and calm
Mhm.
yourself.
Yep.
This is a really important message if I can get this to people. When I was young, I love comic books. My favorite character I had to was Wolverine and the Hulk. I enjoy
So
Spider
you
Man
must
too,
like
but
Wolverine's first appearance where he was fighting the Hulk, right?
I don't have that. I don't own that actual comics. But now that you mentioned, I gotta go find out. But so I used to think that to be strong, I had to get angry, like anger, right? Get angry, get strong, and the Marine Corps enforced that bullshit too.
Today's episode is brought to you by PowerPlate. Vibration therapy, usually delivered through platforms like PowerPlate, offers a wide range of potential benefits for physical health and well-being. I'm talking enhanced muscle strength, improved circulation and blood flow, increased flexibility and range of motion, faster recovery from soreness and injury, and one of the coolest benefits, which is leveraged even by astronauts, is enhanced bone density. How cool is that? For me personally, any workout I do while standing stationary is done on my PowerPlate vibration platform. PowerPlate uses something called triplanar vibration, which is superior to other vibration platforms. It's really interesting. When I stand on it, it almost feels like gravity increased, like I'm being pulled towards the ground, which puts a unique spin on doing your traditional bodyweight workout movements like squats and push-ups and really anything you can do while standing still. So pick up your PowerPlate at powerplate.com/primal and use code PRIMAL for 20% off the PowerPlate vibration platform. Again, that's powerplate.com/primal. Use code PRIMAL for 20% off.
Get
Yeah.
angry, get strong, because they're teaching you how to kill. Um, sorry, I said a bad word, but anyway. But the reality that I learned when I started my martial art journey in earnest, especially when it comes to fighting and sparring and going long tests, is in order to be strong, you have to be calm
You need to find
because
peace.
you have to find peace. And you have to be able to laugh. And if you turn on anger to build strength, it's like taking all your fuel and lighting it all at once. So you won't get as strong as you can get, and you're going to burn out fast.
Mm.
Whereas if you're calm, you actually are just as strong as you would be when you got that anger, but you're also refueling at the same time. It's like an active rest, right? So when you're calm, you're actually also gaining energy instead of just burning it. It's not as fast, of course. So when you're calm, you can be strong and you can last longer. So in order to be strong, you need to be calm. And that's how it is in combat too. Because if you're stressed out in combat, you're probably going to take a bullet. You need to have all your senses around you and be able to. I mean, I almost died 7 times. So I got now 2 more lives left. I try to protect those really, really well. People would say, I don't know how you're doing that jumping off a building, but I land on something soft. The point is you have to learn how to exist in the chaos in a calm state. Breathing, being able to see everything around you. And if you let the anger take control, it's going to burn you down, wear you down.
Yeah, I'm putting together and I told you about this before. I'm putting together a wellness program, which is kind of all encompassing. And part of what I'm building into it is a lot of mindset and kind of mental wellness stuff. So breath
Yeah,
work,
that's important.
gratitude, and just light. It's amazing how much people do not get natural light and what natural light can actually do for the mind as well as the body.
Mhm. I tell people because I didn't learn about meditation directly. I learned about meditation because I was writing this code. I was in this hackathon, um, and I actually won. And to do that, I used a brain sensing headband to track the brainwave. And then I used that to say that I would write programs to treat PTSD by watching brainwave and help with accelerated learning. Okay.
Okay.
So because I wanted to do that, write that code, I started using this meditation headband. Well, if I'm going to do this, I need to know how it works.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
it works. So
I've
then
heard
I
of those.
started
I've
using it.
always been
It's called
curious
Muse.
about them. Yep,
Oh,
I've
it's
heard
the
of that
best thing
one.
ever. It's called the Muse. So I started using the Muse, and that's when I started learning meditation. I didn't go looking for meditation. I was looking for technology.
Yep.
And that's when I learned how important meditation is. And it's kind of upsetting because I say, if someone would have pulled me aside as a kid, someone that I trusted and that I respected, and they would have told me how important it is to meditate, release my frontal lobe, release that, and calm my brain. If someone would have told me that, I would have believed them. I would have done it.
Right.
But there was no one even close to that around my space.
Yep.
I would have been a different individual. I would believe I would have been on the same trajectory as my life is now. But that would have helped me out tremendously, because there's been times in my past where I got angry and I just let the anger, and I thought anger was the thing that I needed. And oh my goodness, that's not the case.
Yep. As a parent of of 3 girls, and for myself as a parent of a couple of young kids, it's one of those things where if you have it, it's something that you can use, and it can alter the course of your style as a parent.
It's
And
true. It's true.
my older son especially, he tests my patience, and I'm not a guy that really gets angry. Like, that anger's not one of my things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's one that will test my limits, and I really have to know what's happening with myself, right? And try to have that self-awareness to be able to, like, say, okay, Drew,
Very important.
just take a step back,
Mm-hmm.
clear your head. He's 4 years old. His priorities aren't necessarily like centered around logic. You're the parent. He's looking at what you're doing, whether that whether you think he's looking at you or not. So
True.
I
Can you
fail
hear?
that
Can
test
you hear
sometimes,
him?
and I pass that. I can't hear him. Yeah, he sounds like he's what
Sorry,
is he doing
I
there?
got it.
Oh, that's all right.
He's not allowed to bark,
Okay.
so he's trained not to bark, but he needs to go out. And I was trying to get my daughter to come let him out, but apparently, as you turn 18, you can just sleep and not wake up. And
Oh,
that's
how
okay.
nice. I remember those days vaguely.
Anyway, so he's trained not to bark, but that's his alternative to, hey, I need to go out. Whatever.
He's trying to be a part of the conversation. We're talking about having your patience tested and all that.
Yeah, he's been doing that for about 30 minutes. So he's been testing, and we've been testing each other's patience. And as you can see, I didn't get angry about it.
Yeah, there you go. So tell me about your companies. You got 3 companies. What are they?
So we'll talk about them in order.
Okay.
Newest to oldest. So CDO, or Chief Defense Officer, is a trademark service that I have, and it provides a really unique thing: physical security, private security, and cybersecurity as one service. And I also, with CDO gear, right? It is provide products to help with that service. That's what the patent is for, and the tourniquet, that's a bracelet or a keychain, and regular tourniquets are part of that. So that's Chief Defense Officer, and that is a very new business, but it is very lucrative.
Yeah. How did that business come to be? Because that's a lot different than what
it is very different.
What your other businesses are.
It came to be because of kind of who I am. Right.
Okay.
So I have clients who know what I do and who I am, and they ask me to do these things for them. They ask me for all 3 of those services because I can do them all. And I got asked so much, like, okay, this is a business opportunity. So I created a business around it.
Yep.
To the point where I even have certified individuals that go through a certification process to become, background checks. They have to be able to do self-defense and weapons training. I'm a certified firearm instructor in California, to be able to do this. And then I teach at seminars. I just came from Miami teaching a security private protection seminar.
Okay.
So that's how it came to me. And then so the next one after that is JBI. It actually stands for Jolivette businesses international. It's a consulting firm and a venture capitalist firm. And right now we um, consult on AI organizations, and we invest in forensics, computer forensics,
Hmm.
and AI,
Okay.
and support that. We also provide services around that, and that's very good. That's a lot of fun, obviously. We work with a lot of government agencies and a lot of
Okay.
government individuals. And then Soho Network Services was essentially my first company. That is an IT company that does full IT, every bit of it, and staffing for the entertainment law, and medical industries. Almost exclusively, we do service for anyone, but most of our clients are there. And I have full
Yeah.
staff in California, New York, Arizona, even where my staff are, and that's what we do. And I have people who work for each organization. I have my full staff,
Yep.
and the companies are similar enough that they can pass business between each other. And then we have lots of partnerships. So
Yep.
that's what I do. I know it sounds a bit odd for some people when they first hear the business, and a lot of people don't really understand venture capitalism, or
Mhm.
what that means to invest in businesses and that long term aggressive business strategy, high risk, of course,
Right.
but really high gain.
Yep.
So yeah, I've been doing this type of thing. I've been doing technology since I was 18.
Okay.
So let's just say that was a long time.
Yep.
And I've been in business for myself since 2002. And I haven't turned back.
So technology since you were 18, business for yourself since 2002. Where did your military service kind of fit in with all that?
Yeah, that came first.
Okay.
So 1990 to 1997,
Okay.
um, I served in the United States Marine Corps, and I was part of Desert Shield, Desert Storm, um, fought in Somalia, Kuwait, Iraq, survived volcano in the Philippines, all the stuff. Um,
I've heard that story. It's a good one.
I got shot at a lot. They missed every time. I am a fantastic bullet dodger.
I'd call you Neo.
Yep, can't hit me. But you can shoot at me apparently.
Yeah.
Um, the most violent place I was actually was Somalia.
Okay.
Somalia was so bad, and so violent, and I was attached to Mortar T Battalion, which means we were on convoy all the time, and I was doing satellite communications for the convoy, because you get out there in the middle of Africa, you still need to be able to communicate with home base, and I was one
Sure.
of the few people who can actually get the satellite linked up. So I went on a lot of convoys, and there's a lot of death, destruction, combat, and fighting all the time.
Yeah.
And so that was the most violent place. People remember Somalia from that movie Black Hawk Down.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they'll say, they'll ask me if I ever saw Black Hawk Down. I'm like, yeah, I saw it. And they say, when you think of it, I'm like, what do I think of what? The movie. I'm like, I didn't see the movie. I was there for Black Hawk Down. So I
Yeah.
saw that.
Okay.
um, and that's kind of the rub, right? I don't participate in warlike events. Anyone who glorifies war, even though obviously I train for combat, that's different from glorifying war.
Right.
That is war exists. Combat is a need. War sucks. War is horrible. The worst thing anyone ever created. It's
Mm-hmm.
fought by children. Just keep that in mind. I tell that to people, and they don't get it. So I'm going to explain it if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. We don't normally consider people to be a full grown functional adult until they're at least in their mid 20s.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
That's just our cultural norm. Well, most wars are fought by people between the age of 18 and 22. That's the people who enlist and before they get promoted above NCO,
Okay.
say E4. So those are grunts. Those are the people fighting wars. By all definition, those are children.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter what part of the world you go in, because I was one of those children, right? I was only 18, 19 when I was at war. When I first was at war, first getting shot at. And so was everyone around me. Everyone who was in charge, by the way, of us being at war was in their mid 20s.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were 30 or 40. No, they were just a little bit older than us, and they had survived beyond that point, and they got to be an E4, um, which I also got to be an E4, um, but I was still fighting. So that's
Yeah.
the rub, right? Wars are fought by children. That's horrible. We send our children to die.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. That's just the truth. That's the second little dog that hasn't been trained not to bark.
Yeah, and I reckon a lot of the wars are fought by children in the, I guess maybe your Western militaries, but I assume a lot of the folks that you were at war with, you're out there with fighting people younger than 18.
Yeah, we have the 18, and other
Yep.
countries start at 15.
Yeah.
That's just the truth.
Yep.
If you think that that's an acceptable thing, okay, I don't think that. I don't think that at all. I think that we should be a better society. Um, how about like this? I'll explain to you like this. People talk to me about AI, the dangers of AI. I was just on an AI panel at Comic-Con in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Right.
So what are the dangers of AI? AI itself, artificial intelligence itself, is not dangerous within itself because it's not that advanced yet. There's not going to be AI robots running around trying to kill you. That's not going to happen. So then why is AI dangerous? AI puts into the hands of everyday people the power to do things that they couldn't do at all by themselves. Like
Right.
just take being able to make a video of the current president or previous president saying something that he didn't say.
Yep. I
Well,
recently used AI to make a video of myself to clone myself, and I was just playing around with it, a free service, and I typed out the whole script, and there I was on the video saying all this stuff that I didn't actually say.
that you didn't actually say. So think of AI as a nuclear bomb or a chemical pandemic in everybody's hands. Why is that a problem? Because the human race is not yet mature enough
Right.
to put that in everybody's hands.
Yep.
So why do I know that? Because there are people still shooting schools. And do I want to give that person that's shooting schools an atomic bomb? That's the danger of AI,
Yeah.
right?
Information warfare.
Right. So the question is, can we regulate that? Now the cat's kind of already out of the bag. The tools are out there. And even if there weren't, the technologies is available. The thing about people who do those type of things, very few of them are so motivated to create things from scratch. What they do is they use tools. This is a cybersecurity issue. Let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
The reason why cybersecurity is such a problem is not because there are a bunch of geeks out there writing code to hack you. No, all of these people are opportunists. They're just grabbing tools that are written by geeks, by people who are smarter than them. And they just use it's like think about it like this. You wanted to write a paper, you would download Microsoft Word. You didn't write Microsoft Word. Could you write Microsoft Word? Probably not. But you know how to use Microsoft Word just fine. So there are tools that they just download, they have access to that are just designed to get into your system, to send out phishing. They don't have to think about it. They just have to learn how to use that tool, which is fairly intuitive. So that's the danger. They're not smarter than you. They're just worse than you.
Yeah.
And they're heavily financed. Why is that? Because the hacking cyber security industry is worth trillions of dollars.
Right.
Trillions. Do you want to know who operates in the numbers of trillions? Governments operates in trillions. We only have a couple companies that are worth trillions of dollars. The only places where trillions of dollars function are governments and cybercrime.
So what are we doing about that, AJ? So when you're up there on this panel and people are like, "Hey, AI could be a problem," what do we say to that?
I tell them that they have to get involved.
Okay.
You have to be familiar with it. Like like everyone else is. If you're not using AI, you're not falling behind. You are already behind. You're not behind. You just used it. You don't need to. You don't need to create it. No one's doing that. The companies that are doing that are worth billions and billions of dollars. And I'm not telling you can't go do that. By all means, you want to go do it, go do it. But most people are not. Most people use it as tools. Like if 15 years ago you were not using Microsoft Office, you were not going to get a job.
Right.
That's that way now.
I
with
remember
AI.
people put that on their resumes as one of their skills, Microsoft
Yeah,
Office.
I understand Microsoft Office.
Yep.
If you didn't have it on there, you will not be working for any company because you can't do your job.
Yep. It is interesting as you kind of delve into all of that, how, looking at the 3 companies that you run, or I guess almost 4 if you look at CDO Gear as kind of a separate thing.
Separate thing, yeah.
How much they are all intertwined, even though, it's on the one spectrum you have, your IT support, and on the other hand you have, private protection, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's but look at the middle ground where you get all the things married and it's all interwoven.
Yeah, and it makes sense. If we talk about business development for a second, right? It's not so much only about what you know, and it is about what you know. It's also about who you know and what type of network you have, the type of people you're connected to. Most times people at this point in my career, um, they want to connect to me not because of what I do, because of who I'm connected to in this world.
Okay.
They want to get connected to the people I'm connected to.
Okay.
And they will pay heavily for that, right? They will pay more for my connection. They will pay me for my skills.
Hey, that's part of business, right? Is having your network and being able to leverage that network to
Right, right,
monetize, in a certain way.
right. And that works the same thing in everything else in martial arts and just the work at your regular job. The person who is in charge that has the managerial position is typically not the person that everyone turns to find out what's going on in the company. Usually there's 2 or 3 people that after the big old meetings or after everyone congregates around these 2 people. And they may
Mhm.
not have leadership positions, but those are the real people that are leading the company
Yep.
or at least also leading the company. So that connection, those networks are something you want to foster and maintain. It's just like, you are what you eat, well, you also are who you hang around. You are what you practice. All those things that everyone says are true.
Yeah.
It's just the truth.
Yep.
You can take me. I've been on this planet for half a century, so
There you
more
go.
than.
All right, let's talk about time management and parenting for a minute, because
Okay.
you've got multiple companies, you've got a lot of, I guess, I don't know if you'd call them hobbies, but you've got a lot of different types of interests that you're engaged in. You
Yeah.
play musical instruments, you draw, you dabble in technology for fun as well as for business. You do
Yeah.
martial arts, you do parkour, you work out, you ride motorcycles, you do a lot of things. But you've also got a daughter that's just, barely an adult that
Hmm.
is with you, that, you've had to care for. So how do you balance parenting,
Yeah.
being a good parent, and and managing, your responsibilities as that parent? So not only just being there for your daughter, but doing the things you need to do as your daughter's parent, which is, having a steady income, providing a safe place to live, but then also number 3, caring for yourself. So doing those things that you want to do for yourself that make you happy and make you a good person.
Yeah. So I have to give credit to my mother on this one.
Okay.
Because my
Hey,
mom
awesome. I
was
love it. Credit to mom.
Yeah, credit to mom. So my mom was a single mom for a good portion of her life, and I'm a single dad.
Okay.
And I've raised my youngest by myself since she was 12. And so I kind of took out my mom's playbook. And what that is, because she's got older sisters, and what that is some level of self-independence and responsibility. And then don't try to do it all by yourself at
Okay.
all. Just don't. It takes a village to raise a child. So my entire family, my brothers, my sisters, my mom, her sisters, my ex-wife, right? Everyone is involved to some degree of being part of my kids' lives, and
Okay.
everyone is always connected. There's always someone she can turn to and talk to. If she doesn't want to talk to me, which is most of the time, that's okay. There's 20 other people that would you trust that she can talk to, and if she doesn't want to talk to any one of those, she has a therapist, right?
Okay.
And this is mental health is insanely important. It's
Yep.
just insane, especially going through the pandemic, which is one of the worst things for her to
Yep.
do. So it's all about empowering my kids, giving them some level of independence and responsibility, while also being that tough parent and having requirements that they have to stick, that they have to do. Like Jade is a black belt in Krav Maga. She actually went through the instructor program, finished it at 17, got her first black belt at 16 years old. That's a tough. She was working at the exact same time. Right now, she's in
Really?
school, medical school, to be an anesthesiologist. Right, these are tough things that she had to do, but she had support the whole time. And can she do that? Well, she did that. So
Yeah.
obviously she can do that.
Yep.
The daughter, she graduated from Berkeley. The oldest one, she's got 2 degrees already. She's got her master's, and she's a lead counselor in San Francisco. So these things they just can do. Give them a level of responsibility. I didn't pick their industry for any of them at all.
Yep.
They can do whatever. If I'd have picked it, they'd have been geeks like me. I don't even have one geek. Well, the youngest, she's geeky-ish. But no, they chose a different path. Each one, no path like mine. And that's my answer. There's lots of different ways to do that, but that's my answer. Then just pay attention and listen, not just to the kids, but to the other people that they talk to. Like, that's how I found out most things that's going on in my daughter's lives, not directly from them anyway.
Yep.
It's from the people that they're talking to.
Yep.
And then I may or may not bring that to them, but at least I have some level of understanding.
Right. Well, you have to understand them to a degree, right? To be able to cohabitate and to be able to keep the parental trajectory in a positive direction.
Of course. And understand that they're not thinking with the part of the brain that you are scientifically.
Right.
Scientifically, you guys are thinking with different parts of your brain, and you used to think with that different part of your brain. So try to remember what that's like, and when that scared the crap out of you because you were an asshole as a kid,
Yeah.
like I was, then take the appropriate steps to be compassionate towards your kids. And then just keep them involved and try to stay involved as much as they want you to. Don't be a jerk. Joke around. Like, I'm not the person with my kids that I am with everyone else. With my kids, I'm really, really silly.
Okay.
Really, really goofy. I have girls. I've had my fingernails painted with teacups and a tutu on, and sitting and doing tea parties and letting them. Remember, I used to have long dreadlocks. They braid
Yeah.
my hair.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. No ego. That's what it is to be a girl dad.
Yeah.
And you enjoy that. And then, now that they're all grown, I kind of miss it.
Come over. We'll paint our nails. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I absolutely love being a dad.
Yeah.
My 3 girls are the thing that keeps me sane in this world. So
yeah,
nothing better than them.
I love it. There's no love like parental love, and it's you can't explain it.
No.
It's such a weird thing for me. I would say I'm not a terribly emotional person.
Mm.
Like I experience emotion certainly, and I feel love very profoundly, but it doesn't really manifest. Like, it's in there, but it doesn't really manifest. Man, sometimes I look at my kids and I just practically start crying. I'm just like, this person, not even doing anything. He's just sitting there watching TV or something. I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. It's overwhelming. I don't even know how to deal with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. I totally understand how it feels, man. That's exactly how I feel. And my mom is that way. My mom is a huggy mom. So she hugs you and she attaches herself to you and she won't let you go.
Yeah.
Right. She also will tell you that you're a jerk and you need to stop being a little jerk. And so you get both sides of them.
Yeah.
Both sides of it were her. But my mom wanted to be a mom. Like, hey, buddy, what did your mom want to do? What she wanted to be a doctor? What did your mom want to do? She wanted to be president. My mom wanted to be a mom.
Okay. So
And
so
that's
she was living the dream, doing the job. Okay.
doing the job. And sure, she also ran her own businesses. She started 3 actually, which is where I got the entrepreneur
There you
bug.
go.
But the first thing she wanted to do, and the thing that even right now she talks about every day every time I talk to her, is that she loves being a mom and she wants all of us back in the house. And
Yeah.
so that's a great gift. So
She
love
must
being
love
a
being a
parent.
grandma.
Okay, you don't even want to know. Apparently, I don't have kids. They're all her kids.
Okay.
I mean, you can come get them.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's a gift. So I wanted to be a parent like my mom. I wanted
Okay.
to be similar to her. So I used her blueprint. She put out a pretty good blueprint, and it worked.
Yep.
At least so far.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have people whose styles you respect to emulate, right? Like my my parents both the way they raised me, like sure I wouldn't do it exactly the same, but there was a lot of what they did that worked really well.
Mm,
And similar to one of the things you said is they allowed my sister and I a lot of independence in decision making. Like we made a lot of our own decisions, and sometimes they were big decisions, and whether they were the right decision or not, they would allow us to make them and kind of deal
yeah,
with it.
that's
Um,
awesome.
yep, and my sister as well. Like my sister is, gosh, she's the most patient parent I've ever seen in my life, and I can't do it, but sometimes I try to channel my inner Rachel and just allow certain things to happen and just kind of be kind and supportive through it.
No, that's great to actually have siblings and people that you can talk to that understand you on that level.
Yeah.
And that you can have respect for it, and you can have the deep conversations, like the vulnerable conversations that you can't just have with anyone.
Yep.
Um, and you can have them on a regular basis, and you don't have to worry about being judged beyond sibling judgment, which you're not going to get away from that. But at least you have that level of deep communication and trust. It's a big deal, especially when it
Yep.
comes to parenting. So congratulations, and you thank your sister as often as you can, because that's a great thing to have.
Good reminder. I should. I should thank her. Um, yeah. All right. One more thing that I want to talk about, and
Mhm.
a lot of the people that um, listen to this podcast are not as deep into all this stuff, the health, the wellness, the fitness, the self defense, as those of us that are here speaking. But they're interested, right? They want to learn. So, as a self-defense instructor and a very passionate and very talented self-defense instructor, what would you
Oh, thank
say
you.
is why is it important for average people, like everyone essentially, to have some um, training and some reps in self-defense, not only in the actual techniques, but just in the self-defense mentality?
I'll use two examples to answer that question. The first one is this: people who pick victims for a living know how to pick a victim. They know when they see someone that's a victim. You actually probably do too. That person that's not paying attention, that's looking at their phone, that has their shoulders hunched, that doesn't look like they can do anything. Right. They know how to pick a victim. They know how to pick people who are vulnerable. So when you learn self-defense, and I am talking blanket, I'm not even talking a specific type of self-defense style. When you learn self-defense and you learn how to be situational aware, you become less of a victim choice. So just think about that for a second. Just because you learn, not because you can do or you have to do, just because you took the time to learn self-defense, you are less likely to be chosen as a victim.
Yep.
Now, it's like one of those things. I don't have to, if we're both getting chased by a bear, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you. Well, it's kind of that scenario.
Yeah.
I know it sucks, but that's the truth. Most people
Yep.
are not going to learn how to defend themselves. That you can't make most people learn, but you can make yourself learn.
Yep.
And when you learn some level of self-defense, you are less of a victim choice. The next one I say is, and people don't understand this, is that you simply are your own first responder. I cannot get that through people's heads enough. So one of the ways I do it is this. if you are in a situation where there was an active shooter, and that's an extreme version, but let's just go there.
Sure.
If you're in the building and an active shooter is in the building and the person next to you is shot, they're not dead, but they're bleeding. And the police get there. Are the police there to help you? No. The police have to deal with the active shooter. Even if they saw you bleeding out, they can't stop to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the paramedics? The paramedics are there. Well, the paramedics are outside.
Yep.
They can't come inside to help you until the police say they have taken care of the active shooter.
Yep.
They cannot. Otherwise, they can become victims too. So
Yep.
this is just simply the truth. Look it up. Talk to any first responder you want. The police can't help you. The people, the paramedics who came to help you can't come to you either. You have to do it yourself. Period.
Yep.
So when the active shooter is going room to room, and they come in your room, you have to be able to defend it. You have to. You. I'm talking to you. They're on the other side of this camera.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. You don't have to take my word for it. Talk to anyone, look it up, read it, understand it. I will not bullshit you. I don't do that.
Yeah. You are ultimately responsible for yourself, and if you are in a certain position in life, you may be responsible for others too. And that's
Yeah.
where, this becomes particularly important for parents, right? Because what if you're not just in that room on your own? What if you're in that room with your kids? What are you going to
Yeah.
do? Fall back on the train that you never bothered to take because it wasn't the priority?
Yeah, that's because people think they will rise to the occasion. And you don't rise to the occasion. You fall back to the training. You just said it. When people freeze, that's because they don't have anything to fall back on. When
Right.
people go like, I don't even remember what happened, but the guys on the ground, that's because they did have something to fall back on. Their system did that for them. You don't have time to think in an emergency. Not that type of emergency. Your body's going to do it.
Kind of funny. That was actually you were there, but there was some of those scenarios during my my black belt test at Krav. Right? It was
Yeah, that was a good time.
I don't know how many hours in the middle of the damn night we were doing active shooter scenarios, right? Going into the restaurant and whatever. And then after, the threat would come in and I would have to, address the threat in whatever way was appropriate, whether it's, engaging or not engaging. And then afterwards, it would be the question, like I'm being interrogated by the police, right? And tell me exactly what happened. And I couldn't remember what happened most of the time. Like I just did. I didn't think, I just did.
Yep.
The first thing you said about the kind of the victim attackers picking victims and all that actually reminds me of something when I was doing my instructor training for Krav in Israel with Ron Engelman over there. Something that he said to us, because we were all there as instructors. So he's teaching us to teach, right? He's teaching us advanced Krav Maga and teaching us to teach. And one of the things he said is, Krav Maga isn't for you, because if you know Krav Maga, nobody's going to mess with you. Like they're going to see you and they're going to know that you're not the one. Krav Maga is for the people that you're teaching.
Almost the exact same thing I'm saying, it's in a different way.
Yep.
Absolutely the case.
Yep.
People typically don't come for me. Actually, I've got some story of people coming for me recently, but that's just verbal jujitsu. Like, you can be angry, just be angry over there.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, those people were drunk, by the way. So, but yeah, that's the case. And that's one of the best run reasons, but also, of course, protect your family. You have to pass it on. All those other things that I could say and would say, you actually have probably already heard already.
Mm-hmm.
And so those things still hold true. But I use those two examples I gave because they don't typically hear that one.
Yeah. Now, and the idea of being an asset to yourself and to those around you is hugely important to me, and something that I want to continue to dig into on this podcast. But it's something a lot of people don't think about, right? They, when they think being an asset, they think I need to be able to provide for my family. I need to have a good job. I need to be able to provide a decent place to live and make sure my kid goes to school and whatever. But that's being an asset in the form of being able to manage your normal everyday life, but that doesn't involve any contingencies, right? It doesn't involve threat situations. It doesn't involve economic downturn. It doesn't involve a pandemic. It doesn't involve all these things. And you have to train your brain to be able to pivot and make extreme decisions very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As a again newer parent, this is something that is I already had attention on this before I became a parent, but as a parent of young children, it's profoundly important to me to be able to work my way through anything to protect my family.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. You know, if we're out driving through the desert, right? We like going out of town and the car breaks down and all that. Okay, well, what have I done to be prepared for that? You know, I can't just assume that I'm going to have a cell phone signal everywhere, which, you know, that's the one tool everyone has is a cell phone, but it doesn't always work. So
Yeah,
what else
that's
am I
right.
going to do?
Yeah, people are very reliant on these technologies. We can have the conversation that most people have become cyborgs and they don't even know it, because a lot of the stuff that they used to keep in their brain, they've already offloaded to the device that they have with them. It doesn't have to be physically inside of you for that purpose.
Yep.
Just like before I could, including myself, before I could tell you 30 different phone numbers of people that I needed to, I can tell you maybe 3 now. These are on my
Yep.
phone. That's one of the examples. So you don't want a certain number of those things. You don't want to offload. You need to be able to provide some level of survival as a human being, not as a man or a female, just as a person. You need to be able to do these basic things. What are those things? Well, you actually mentioned some of them. You need to be able to find your way without a map and without your phone. You need to be able to tell north, left. I mean, north, south, east, west. You need to be able
It's
to tell those
amazing how
things.
many people can't do that.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah.
Coach K will break that down for you.
Yeah.
You guys don't know Coach K, but I'm still you'll get him on the podcast, and you really want to listen to that guy.
Yep. We actually
And
we just recorded, so he'll be coming out around the same time.
yeah, this guy is next level amazing. In my circle of connection, there's 3 of us that are connected from me. There's Mr. Noy, who was a Navy corpsman. There's Coach K, who was an Army, and then there's me, Marine. And all of us are combat war vets who survived combat. In some cases, barely, like Coach K, because he actually survived it barely. And so they're in my circle of who I can communicate to, who understand me on that level. If you're not military and or you're not a combat war vet, a war vet that's been in combat, don't think you understand them.
Right.
You don't. There's no book you can read. There's no Call of Duty you can play. That's just not the case.
Right.
So just know what you don't know.
Yep. But yeah, the skills that Coach K teaches, I mean, those are just kind of the fundamentals of, know how to deal with anything.
Of course. I've gone out with him. He's taken me out. I've paid him. My company has paid him and continues to pay him to take me out into the jungle and teach me how to survive in the jungle. And yeah, I was in the Marine Corps and I was in the Philippines, and that's not the same thing. No, and I did do jungle environment skill training well, this is in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So yeah, he takes me out and I can make traps and find the water and find the food and know what I can eat, know what I can't eat, muster plans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Again, things most people don't think of.
No, we're spoiled. We live in paradise in America, especially in California. People don't get it because they don't have the goggles that I have on. Destruction goggles. I see everything with niceness on top of destruction because I've been in places where everything was fine, and in the next second it was not fine. It was never going to be fine again.
Yeah.
So, and there's some people in America who have experienced that through 9/11 and shootings and things like that, which my heart goes out to them because I don't wish that on anyone to experience it. But that's just a matter of appreciation and being grateful, great, that we live in paradise. America is so blessed and such an amazing home. I know there's other things. I get that. But in comparison to the rest of the world, oh my goodness, you have no idea. Well, you may have an idea. Other people, this is paradise.
Yeah. Yeah.
As close as you're going to get to it on Earth anyway.
It's easy to focus on all the problems that we have in America, but being the type of society that we are, we're going to have the problems that we have. Like that's just that comes with freedom, right? So those
Yeah.
problems come with being able to uh with being entitled to a country where supposedly the people govern the country. So
Yeah.
but yeah, every time I've gone out and particularly to, third world or developing countries, it helps to renew my appreciation for what we have at home.
Yeah. Big time. Yeah. I'm a patriot. So
Well, you got it pretty dialed, right? You've got kids that you've successfully been able to raise to adulthood. You've got multiple companies. You've been able to follow your entrepreneurial spirit to success. You have a lot of hobbies, which are, I would say mostly are all like actually continuing to develop you as a person, and you're just a nice and amazing person. So, I appreciate having you in my life, AJ. You always are are a fun one to catch up with because you're always doing things that inspire me to do more things.
well, man, I appreciate that, dude. But I kind of see it the other way. I mean, I I spent so much time with you testing and training and talking and hanging out. I appreciate people who have a good heart and have no ulterior motive and just they're good people. I have a friend by the name of Matt Elzel. He told me something that I still do and say to this day. He told me several things. One, he says, I collect good people.
I
He
love it.
collects good people.
Yeah.
When you find someone like you, Drew, and like Mr. Noy, and like you connect and you just like you're not going anywhere. What? No.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And I collect, and you're part of my collection. So I appreciate you.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I mean, we find people that bring us up, right? Awesome. Well, AJ, thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. I will
No, I
get
appreciate you having me on, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna get if for anyone that's interested in digging into your companies a little bit more, I will link to your websites or anything that you've got there
Yeah, yeah.
on the show notes. Again, show
Absolutely.
notes for today will be superhumanblueprintpodcast.com. So we'll link to everything on there. And folks, remember, hit subscribe, share us if you like what we're doing, and we will catch you in the next episode. AJ, thank you, my friend. I will see you around.
Thank you, man. I'll see you on the map.
All right. Yeah, right. Bye.
Bye-bye.